Welcome, I'm Zoe.
I'm Lesley.
I'm Kirsten, and this is Gosport Grit.
We are beyond excited to be here with you today. So Zoe, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about?
So this is non-party politics. It's not a moan-fest.
Excellent.
This is about us putting pride into Gosport, showing aspiration and Gosport deserving better. But first of all, Lesley, we're going to do a quick fire round to get to know you.
No pressure.
So first of all, quick fire questions. So
Okay.
Quick, as soon as they come into your
I
head.
am feeling a bit intimidated here by the vodcast.
Just go with it.
It's just us.
Okay.
So in the morning, coffee or chaos?
Probably chaos in our house, I'm afraid.
A food combo you secretly love?
Chocolate covered peanuts.
What would be your warning label?
Don't feed her wine.
Most irrational fear?
I have a fear of not saying goodbye to my daughter. If I don't say goodbye to my daughter, something bad's going to happen.
I get that.
Yeah, you get
Or
that.
be safe. I say,
Or be safe.
Be
You have to say something.
Yeah.
Mm.
Favourite memory of Gosport?
16 years of age, 6 weeks on Stokes Bay Beach with the boy that everyone wanted to date.
I won't ask the name.
No, I can't remember actually, to be fair. It was so long ago.
Who inspires you?
My daughter.
Lovely. Morning or evening?
Oh, morning all day long. My phone goes on do not disturb at 8 o'clock and I don't start until 6, but I am, all day long a morning person. You'll find me at 9 o'clock in my bed with an iPad. Sorry, it's too much information. I overshared as usual.
So this show, we're going to do several episodes. And our first episode, maybe we should clarify why we're here.
Absolutely.
And what was the moment all three of us sort of shared an idea of coming together and having coffee and chat, or we may at some point have a wine and chat, but you did say don't feed you wine, so maybe we'll skip that one.
To the coffee.
So what was the moment we all knew? So I think about something that maybe we've had feedback from a resident or an experience you've had recently. Kirsten, why do you think
I think recently as mayor I've seen so much positivity in Gosport, but then you get the people behind the scenes complaining about it all the time. And it's just like, no, we need to say how good this place is. Prime South Coast on the UK, and then there's negativity. So if we don't stand up for it now, who's going to?
Yeah, I agree with you. What about yourself, Lesley?
I think the same. I think in every walk of life you can focus on the negative. But actually, if you focus on the negative, that's almost like your groove is in the negative all the time. But if you focus on the positive, and there are we have challenges in Gosport, but for me, the positives by far outweigh the negatives.
Do you know there's a psychology of that if you say to yourself, you played it as a child, I spy with my little eye.
Yeah.
And when you say a colour, like red cars, then you'll continue to see a red car. And it's the same thinking that if you think negativity, that's what you draw. And it's the same with thinking positivity. So that's our common goal, isn't it? And I think we've shared that more recently. But I suppose why now? Why have we felt so frustrated that we feel that this is a time to come and have coffee and chat?
So I think we've agreed this is an apolitical vodcast, podcast, whatever you want to call it. But actually, the elephant in the room is there is a lot of negativity and toxicity around our local council and how it's run, the online social media presence. And I think as women, we're generally collegiate people and we genuinely want to work together to do the better for our town. And for me personally, I'm just tired of the negative aspects of how we look after our town, how we represent our residents. And I think it's an opportunity to come together and actually say, do you know what, we're here for you. We're here together, irrespective of any political proclivity. I'm a bit of a word person, to be honest. And I'm just tired of that negative narrative that permeates everywhere. And I just want to push back. And there's strength in unity.
There is, yeah.
Well, I've come from a world that was non-political. It was just about being in the community. Many of you know that I've been a post lady for 11 years. Before that, working in an office, but it was always customer-based. Yeah. And it was always a positive all the time. And when you're out in the community, you get to understand them. And then now, all you hear is negativity coming through, which is really sad. And it doesn't matter how hard you're striving, you hear people bringing up the bad when actually you're just fighting for the good all the time. And so are the people around us.
Yes.
So
Yeah. So maybe a good question from that is why get involved with your community, whether or not that takes you as a community leader, or whether or not that takes you into being in the world of local politics like we all are.
Well, if you can't fix it, you shouldn't moan about it. So I thought, yes, why don't I get involved?
Yeah.
I could moan like everybody else, but I got involved to try and help out and do my best, really.
So that saying is put up or shut up, isn't it? Let's just make a change. Let's affect change. Because it's very easy for everybody to get behind the keyboard and be very, very negative. But we know from our United experiences, there is a lot of good people in Gosport doing a lot of good things. And generally it's the third sector. The volunteers in Gosport are an army, aren't they?
They are. And I think for me, to impact change, you had to be involved.
Yes.
So whether or not that was some of the roles that I do, from trustee of the Sea Cadets to a trustee of a college, to then eventually getting involved in politics.
Yeah.
So my avenue was education policy. So it was my passion for education and to make sure people were educated and had the knowledge and had that accessible, then took me into policy, and then I just sort of slipped and tripped straight into politics. But it's still mainly about community, and I think that's the common thread that all of us have. Let's move on maybe to what we mean when people say, well, it's Gosport. What frustrates us, or maybe what outsiders get wrong about our
Do you know,
town?
that really grinds my gears, to be honest. It really does, because we have our challenges, but actually I think some of them are historical. So it's people very often say it's a nightmare to get out of Gosport. I don't actually think it's a nightmare. You go and sit in Basingstoke, you go to London. We know that
Traffic has changed everywhere.
Traffic is horrendous, and actually it's reduced since COVID. Working from home, traffic is a lot less. So I think that's almost like it's like an urban myth. I would push back and say it's not that bad.
I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I worked first of all in Havant. I used to commute to Havant every day. That was a bit of a challenge, but we didn't have the new bypass, etc. then. So on a weekend, it could take me 25 minutes, and on the weekday, it could take me over an hour.
Yeah.
But then I started to work in Gosport, and the difference I felt from community, because for all we've got over 80,000 residents, we've got a great community. So many people know each other because people stay here for a long time or come back. So you just feel at home. So the negativity around everything, jobs, commuting, but a lot of people do that commute and don't look around the town where they live. So they just follow the same path in and out every day and don't stop and look what's round that corner, what's round here, and appreciate the water's edge and all the assets we live.
I think some of that is inward investment, and I think on one of our episodes we'll talk about growth and inward investment, because unfortunately our job density isn't currently here, which is and I'm one of those people. Throughout my career I've had to commute out of Gosport, and I've been very fortunate actually. I've commuted most probably across the whole of the south with some of the jobs that I've had, and you're quite right. I've travelled and done work in Kent on a there and back in a day. And actually trying to get in and out of there is just the same. But on the other hand, I think sometimes on a glorious day, as I drive down Stokes Bay out through Leon Solon, it's fantastic, and it really is. And you get to see those people out dog walking and that community. And people have always asked me, "Or would you move out?" And I'm saying, well, no, I have the coast and I have the New Forest and national parks so close to me.
And the commuting. So you live in Gosport, you don't pay the Portsmouth prices for homes.
True.
But you can get on a train at Portsmouth Harbour, you can go to London, you can go to Gatwick. And the other thing is, I meet lots of people who I call blow-ins. So they've come to Gosport and they have nothing but positivity to say about our hometown. They recognise the coast. I've lived, when I was in the Air Force, I've been landlocked, as I say it. There is something about living near the coast that's really good for our heart and soul. And I think you're right. I think sometimes what you have, you don't appreciate, you don't value, and you perhaps take it for granted. But I moved away from Gosport for 10 years and I've come back, and honestly, this sounds really maudlin, I look at a cherry tree outside my bedroom each day, not each day, but some days, and I think, do you know what? If that is the last view I see before I go wherever I'm going to go, I'm really happy and content with that.
Yeah.
I'm really happy and at peace with that. And we do live in a beautiful town. We have challenges, but we need to focus on the positive.
I've lived in Gosport for almost all my life, so 50 years.
Are
And
you that old?
a bit more, but I was away when I was a baby, but we won't talk about age. But I appreciate it because I've spent my time walking around on the ground. I notice the flowers. I notice when something's been tidied and something looks good. And even like where I live now in Chirkway, walking along Chirkway when you can see it's all been pruned and the flowers are starting to come out and the litter's been cleaned. There are many people around that really clean up the area.
Take care.
Yeah, and people that appreciate where they live. So it's not just, I know we shouldn't say, the council have to do everything, because the people need to appreciate where they live too and take responsibility.
Yeah, and we're quite lucky. There's quite a few friends of Grit.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's how I've met so many over this last year. It's been really humbling. But on Mother's Day, just for an example, we took my mum for a drive to Muddyford Quay, parked down on the beachfront, had a lovely walk along, got a little ice cream, went for a cafe and had a little something to eat, sat in our van and looked out at the shore. And thought how wonderful it is. And then we come back and said that's exactly what we've got at home, but we just don't appreciate it because of familiarity.
So, yeah, I think you're right.
I don't want to dwell too much, but I think we should, just before we come back to my final question, I think all of us, and for me, some of the question of why we're sat round today of asking ourselves the question, Gosport deserves better, but how do we do that? Was what we experienced at the last council meeting. And I just want to touch very briefly on it because I know, and this is non-political. We're not sat round here as party colours. I don't want to necessarily name anyone, but personally, some of my experience felt quite embarrassed. At some stage, I think, we're supposed to, when we talk about the community, we talk about leading by example.
Yeah.
Do you think there's more we can do? And I know as an episode, we will bring this in as a discussion. Do you think there's more we should do about holding people to account and possibly leading by example?
I think we lead by example as women. We're sitting here today from different political aspects. For me, that meeting on the 27th of January, just say it was my birthday.
Oh yeah.
And I've had better birthdays. As speaking as a gender, as a female, I felt some of the narrative that was used was very sexist and objectified women. And for me as a woman, I've always been in a male-dominated environment. I've worked in the police, I worked in the military, I'm now in the council, and it's still a male-dominated environment. And this is not a bashing for men, but I think you need to recognise that actually, if you hold a position in the council, you need to treat everyone with respect. And we spoke earlier, didn't we? I do hospital radio, and it's one of those parts of my life where I'm not judged on how I look as a female. Yeah. So some of those comments that were made by people in positions of authority, they have no place in our society. And it made me quite angry, and I've been contacted, like I'm sure you have. People are really upset and offended by this objectification of the female gender.
I think it's really difficult as well, as I've said before. I haven't came from a political background. I just came into local council because I care about the community, and I think I like to deal with everybody. I understand most people, but situations like that could put anyone off from standing.
That's a really good point, don't you think?
We want to have people standing to support the community, and if you're going to feel like you're under pressure of an unkind remark like that, some that come out.
So Zoe did a hate not debate motion, didn't she? And it's about, so I don't know if we can reference when we're at Hampshire, you have healthy debate. So I was at Hampshire first, came to Gosport. You have healthy debate, you have differences of opinion. But it's not, I would describe, for me, it feels incredibly uncomfortable and toxic at Gosport, and it doesn't have to be that way. And I don't know about you, I spoke to many people about being a councillor, and they're put off by that perception that locally politics is a really uncomfortable environment. I don't know what you think, Zoe.
No, it's not. And I think it also then spreads into community leadership, because people then think, well, I'm, not going to support community leadership or volunteer because, that lead by example and representation. I think, we should call out those comments without naming anyone. So we're referring to the comment of suggesting you'd be in the newspaper, but it wouldn't be page 3. And I think it's also worth shouting out that an individual then also suggested that you don't represent a strong woman. And to me, that's about
oh dear, sorry. Can I just read to my
definition, isn't it?
Can I just say that was a female that said that? As a woman, being in a male-dominated environment, I genuinely believe as females we should stand united. And if you haven't got anything positive to support another female, then don't say anything.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to move us on.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question, but for me, Kirsten, you're currently mayor.
Yeah.
I was mayor during the pandemic, which was completely and utterly different. And I was fortunate enough to have a mayor there that looked very similar to myself, same hair colouring. And during the pandemic, it was really lovely that I actually took this there and positioned it across Gosport into different locations. And it became a bit of a thing to try and find the most unusual location that people would have to think about. Oh, I'm not too sure where that is. So that's going to be my answer to the question that I'm going to ask you. So, Kirsten, I'm going to ask you first. What's the one moment you felt unexpectedly proud to be from Gosport?
Oh my goodness, I think the Marine Festival, actually.
Yeah.
When we bring everyone to the coast, see the water. There's so many residents in Gosport that have never even been on the water other than to cross the ferry. There's some that don't even dip their toe in the Solent for the beach, but just to have a go, and how many people come together and just show off what we have got on the water's edge. That's amazing.
Yeah. Lesley?
I think when someone comes to visit Gosport and they say to me, this is a hidden jewel. It is a hidden jewel, isn't it? So for me, I feel very proud of that. And if I can have a second one, last year I sort of said Lily should be the runner-bean, should be the Young Citizen of the Year. I was immensely proud when she was made Citizen of the Year, because she's homegrown.
Yeah.
She's a GB athlete. So there are lots of things to be proud of in Gosport, but probably too many than one.
We tend to normalise it. I don't know about you, but normalise having festivals in forts or a brewery in a munition gun factory.
The Hovercraft Museum, the only one of its kind in the world.
Yeah, Submarine Museum, Diving Museum. The Explosion Museum, the Millennium Path, where you can look and see people's families' names. I think there's a lot of positive stuff. So can I just say it's too hard to say one thing?
I know, we've got episodes.
Okay.
So maybe we can stop chatting and enjoy our cake now. So I'll draw us to a close. We'd love to hear from you about what you want us to chat about, or maybe some questions that you have for the three of us. As we go through our show, we'll also have some guests. But remember, this is not about politics, it's about pride. We want to raise aspiration, and Gosport deserves better. So our next episode, Challenging the Narrative, will be about the power of community. So this is Gosport Grit. Thank you.
Thank you.